When planning the road to success, there are a few steps to keep in mind. Identifying and solving the cause, facing and embracing change, goal setting, and being accountable. We'll talk about this today on Sustainable Success with Chris Salem. New and healthier habits lead to prosperity in all areas of your life and business. Now, here's your host, Chris Salem.
Welcome to Sustainable Success. I'm your host, Chris Salem, and if this is your first time, welcome to the Voice America Business Channel here on the Lisbon platform. Again, we are excited each and every week bringing in subject matter experts to share their words of wisdom and insights to help elevate you and your level of success to the next level. Again, you can find here on Sustainable Success, not only here on the Lisbon platform, but also here on Spotify, Apple, and then also YouTube. Yes, even though it is not in video content, you can also listen to the audio version here also on YouTube as well. And again, if you are new to Sustainable Success, we also encourage you to follow us on Facebook at Sustainable Success 2017. Again, we've had many of our great guests share their words of wisdom and insights to help elevate you and your success to the next level. So check us out there at Sustainable Success 2017. Today's show is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a new social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types and an opportunity to meet new people for the first time. Now, it is a membership program taking out all the noise out of social media. You get to generate genuine and authentic relationships with the people you choose to interact with. If you'd like some more information about Alumni Direct, check them out at alumnidirect.com. That's alumnidirect.com. Today's show, we're going to be talking about holding the flame, secrets of power, status, and influence for client acquisition. And I'm excited to have, we're going to have two guests on today, but one had a family emergency that had to take care of something. But again, we're going to have that person on for a future show. But we are here with Justin Michael, and I want to give you a little bit more information about Justin. And he's got a book that just came out, and you're going to be able to get your hands on that starting today. Yes, today that you'll be able to get your hands on his new book. And Justin is a world record-breaking outbound sales maven who has arguably built the deepest client acquisition methodology of all time. The Justin Michael method, called JMM, it's driven over $1 billion in pipeline for 200 plus startups he's advised and over 25K reps, 1K in which he personally coached. With 20K years in sales, ex-Salesforce, and LinkedIn, Justin is the global authority on AI-based outbound prospect alongside legends like Aaron Ross, Josh Bond, and Mark Roberg. If I said that correctly, his counterintuitive, mobile, responsive, neuroscience-backed visual prospect methodology made him $1 million earner and helped countless startups scale past 10+ million ARR. His clients frequently are 2 to 5x their pipeline and income, consistently being promoted within 6 months. He is the best-selling author of Sales Superpowers and Tech-Powered Sales, which proved that over 75% of top funnel can be automated by raising your technology, quote, in the TQ. And he lives currently right now abroad in Switzerland, advising top SaaS technology CROs and teams on bleeding-edge revenue models. And without further ado, we welcome Justin Michael to the show. Justin, how you doing today?
Life is good, man. Thanks for that incredible introduction. I appreciate that. Yeah, everything's good. This week has been flying by, and excited to have this new book out. It's my 10th book in 10 years, but I've done 6 in the past 3 years. So I always tell people, don't write a book, and writing is a disease. And I've looked at quotes by like Stephen King and some of the great writers. And once you start doing this, it's pretty addictive in a fun way. So yeah, how are you feeling?
Great. It has been a busy week as we head in towards the holiday season. I had to fly out west to actually train a group of CEOs and other types of industry leaders out in Reno, Nevada. So it was exciting 2 days out there, and just happened to be back now and here in time for the show here today. So Well, we'd love to talk a little bit about, we always like to talk about the backstory of what we're going to talk about today. So when we talk about holding the flame, secrets of power, status, and influence for client acquisition, there's going to be a lot of people on here, whether if they are a sales professional, it could be a business owner of a small company, also people that are in the corporate space that are listening right now saying client acquisition. We could always use some better insights to what client acquisition is. Give us a little idea about this backstory, what led up to this frame concept that you're going to share with us today.
Yeah, so I've been in sales for 25 years now. I'll be 46 in January. So since I was 21, and I came up initially kind of in boiler rooms and doing 70-hour, 90-hour weeks on the phone, kind of just sitting in the folding chairs, the Red Bulls, like back before tech. So then I did about 10 years in incubators and another 10 years in bona fide startups. So I had got to travel the world with a lot of top performing salespeople, coaches, solopreneurs. I got to kind of see the world of the 1%. Not only that, I got to be around a lot of people that were high earners or, ultra high net worth. And I started to understand presence and some of the techniques and the tactics. And the tactics then led me into the thought process, and from the thought process into the deeper identity. And so as I wrote my 10 books about sales methodology, some had mindset, some had tactics, I kind of realized that there was a certain X factor, je ne sais quoi, like something you couldn't put your finger on to people. You could almost call this book pre-frame. It's almost the composure that someone has before they do a 7-figure deal, before they walk into the boardroom, before they go on a high stakes situation. So the term frame comes from frame analysis. This, scientist, or maybe he's a sociologist named Goffman in the 70s, who did a book, and then it became popularized by Oren Klaff in a book called Pitch Anything, really talking about frames and frame control and frame collision for big deals, a book called Pitch Anything, which is about fundraising. Well, I hadn't really seen it applied to dating, seduction, power, politics, big deal closing, sales, client acquisition, right? It's been described as swagger. It's been described as, unshakable self-belief and confidence. If you think like personal power and Tony Robbins, there's a lot of names for it. And so the book was initially like, okay, can we do dating and sales? That hasn't been done. That was kind of like a cheesy pickup thing. So we thought, okay, that's not really the spot. We really like books like 48 Laws of Power, but what's the prequel to that? What do you do before those laws? What are the laws before those laws? What do you do before you pitch? How do you compose yourself? What if you lose composure in it? Your frame breaks and you have to reclaim it in a tough situation. So we thought really of Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power. Also, there is a lot of relationship dynamic books out there, like The Game by Neil Strauss, who was like a Rolling Stone reporter. And he wrote this incredible book. It became a viral sensation. And then he kind of reversed his thesis. And that's really synthetic elements of these concepts. But then this author named Mark Manson, who did The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, and he had this book called Models. And it was about honesty in human relationships and how people can carry themselves in interpersonal dynamics. And I've always said, like, sending DMs on LinkedIn, it is similar to dating, right? Because people are doing it wrong. They're like, nice shoes, want to get married, nice shoes, want to get married. Like, they're just pitching from the front versus moving in on an angle, right? Instead of direct transactional B2C, low frame, cheap, what is the indirect high status, finesse, sort of C-suite approach? And so then we kind of wrapped it into a homage of Oren. So that was sort of the ingredients that go into this. And then we just elevated it to this whole other place, because then we started thinking about, okay, what was Napoleon like before the battle? And like we went into a lot of historical figures and situations. And so we have these vignettes and these stories that open the chapters. And then we have this holding the frame section that has practical tips of what to do. So a lot of the book is about silence. It's about power. It's about, negotiation and takeaways and different things you can do. It's very subtle. There's a lot of aspects that happen when you're actually doing a 7-figure deal, or you're actually dealing with someone that's a kind of a master of the universe. And how do you even get into those rooms? And how do you carry yourself? And I know David Sandler had a concept of equal business stature, but how do you do it? How can you be equal? Like you have to call on a president of a company that's making a million a year and you're making what you make. And does that intimidate you? Does it scare you? Are you nervous? So how do you hold the frame or raise the frame? And then there's just internal identity, like Maxwell Maltz and the book Psycho-Cybernetics. And it's like Jim Rohn always said, becoming a millionaire it's great. Like you can't take it with you. It's great because of who you become.
That's what you become in the process.
In the process. Yeah. So for me, I became very powerful in writing this and reading this and raising the frame. And I read it over and over again in the edit stage. And I realized so many areas of my life where the frame was leaking, or I had more of a lower confidence frame or desperate frame or needy frame. The first concept is non-neediness, which you see across a lot of those other authors. But we play with that because it's kind of how you see yourself before you even arrive in the high stakes situation. It's not about, oh, I'm being non-needy. It's a deeper essence of who you actually are, your identity. So your identity contains your income. Your identity contains like points of attraction, the people you're going to bring in your life, the core, the nucleus, right, is going to influence a lot. So that's kind of work I'm doing. I'm working with people on like deep-seated beliefs, self-esteem, self-sabotage, and helping people just become the most powerful version of themselves. So I need to write this book. Because if you want to go like do a 7-figure deal or raise 10 million or go meet with powerful people, but you don't have a strong enough frame, right? It's a fool's errand because you're already going in weak. And then there's a question, like if you're a 7 and they're an 8, you go to a 9, and they're a 9, you go to a 10, but you meet all these like high dominance, aggressive people who have climbed their way up the corporate ladder. And then there's sort of a concept of like Aikido, where the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Or like they're a pine tree in the hurricane, they snap, and you're a palm tree and you bend, taking them from Eastern philosophy. So yeah, this was really a blast to write, an homage to a lot of those authors. I always wanted to do something like Nicholas Taleb or Gladwell, or do something that was a real synthesis and cross over to B2C. This is the first book I've written out of 10 that really just goes wide because it impacts every human.
Everything, yeah. When you talk about frame, I mean, when you talk about the state of mind, and because that's where it's, obviously has to start. It's an inside out approach. I mean, and it's so true. It could apply to so many different things. And I know we got about 4 or 5 minutes to break, about 4 minutes to break, but, and I know you're going to get into the second half of the show, but if you can kind of maybe set the stage, like when we talk about that frame, like when people are listening, what does that look like? Is that something that to make that shift, is it something that takes a certain period of time? Is it something that is different for different types of people where they're at, that type of thing?
Yeah, I find that people in some area of their life already are in their highest frame. It's often when they're relaxed, they're just being themselves around friends, around family, around a certain type of person, a mentor, a certain situation, something they excel at where there's an expertise. So you can kind of find areas in life where there is a higher frame and then transmute that into other situations. There's something for repetition being the mother of skill. Like if you're afraid to cold call and you do it a lot, you get a lot calmer, right? And more desensitized. Like if you're trying to read this book and then go do the biggest business deal of your life, you probably need to get into a lot of deal flow and get rejected a lot and go through the suffering and pain and the wisdom of the scar tissue, right? But I think what the book encourages you to do is to reflect on seeking internally how you feel the most powerful. Are you talking too much? Are you rambling? Are you trying too hard? Are you signaling need? Are you filtering? Are you waiting and metering and waiting for the person to react? Right? Do you have a sense of frame control? Because the frames collide. And we don't even really get into frame collision because that's a lot of Oren's work. But we get into just the presence of the heat of the moment in a situation. And it's really turn by turn so powerful. Like when you try to acquire customers on LinkedIn, they get skittish. I always compare it to that scene like Crocodile Dundee throwing the TNT into the Central Park River and fishing. People are either overdoing it or they're underdoing it, and they're not really, there's got to be this reach and withdraw. And one of the big paradoxes is how you chase business and hunt, but maintain a high frame, because if you're chasing after something, isn't that a lower frame activity? And so many of us, our role is to generate net new business and to hunt things and acquire clients. So that's the angle I take, where like Jonny did a lot of fundraising, which is also interesting because you have like these
fundraising in itself. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, like you vulture capitalists. Like there's a scene where this guy flies in on a helicopter and like goes into his office and puts his feet on the desk. I mean, this book really feels a lot like Billions or Succession. It has elements of, those type of TV series. There's some really great stories and vignettes of some wild things happening, and how did we hold the frame, and then what's the lesson, and how can you apply it? So it's really cinematic, kind of film noir, and it's just really compelling. And then it gets into a lot of practicality at the end of each chapter. There's like exercises you can do.
Well, I mean, I know, and I can't wait for the second segment where we're going to go over that. As we got a minute left till the break. Anything that you want to kind of set the stage for everyone before we go to break, what you're going to share more about the frame concept?
Well, I've been talking a lot with people about this word ontology, which is the science of being. And it's really hard to shift your life from an external perspective. People are looking outwardly beyond their eyes for how they can impact the world. And they seldom stop to go, what are my thoughts? What are my perceptions of myself? How do I look at my life? Do I look at my life as something that I'm a victim from the past, or something that's like infinitely expansive and I can create it from the future? And that was a quote from Werner Erhard. So there's a lot that came out of this book, The Science of Getting Rich, which impacted The Secret and sort of Napoleon Hill and positive psychology.
Yeah.
And so this book is about kind of reorienting yourself kind of to your being, your consciousness, your soul, and that power. And so the last chapter is a bit of like a Marcus Aurelius legacy and note to the future. What is the legacy you want to leave behind? And can you connect your dots going backward for where you are in the end of your life and what you left behind? Because when I turned 40, I realized like, hey, I haven't taken enough risk. And that's what led me to starting to write these books and go solo and go into consulting and not just maybe stay safer and become a chief revenue officer. Not that I respect operators, I respect CROs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of plane rides, you know what I mean? But for me personally, I had this greater journey to embark on.
Well, this is exciting. I know you're going to go more into the weeds with this when we come back after the break. I am so excited, and I'm sure you are, audience, as well. To get a kind of a context of what Justin is going to share here and what those secrets are to power, status, and influence for client acquisition. We got to go to break, everybody. When we come right back, more to come about holding the flame, the frame concept. We'll be right back after the break.
What is balance? It's being true to your purpose and not being distracted by shiny objects, surrounding yourself with family and loved ones, nurturing your spirituality, maintaining healthy balance of emotional and physical wellness, and being present in the moment. Chris Salem creates awareness about unblocking mindset barriers for sales professionals, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and all types of people to have sustainable success at the next level. The solution evolves out of the problem or challenge. The issue is that many people and businesses manage the effect but do not address the root cause. You now have an opportunity to live your life and operate your business in the solution rather than the effect of your challenges. Schedule a time to chat about your goals and the person you desire to be by going to ChristopherSalem.com. We have group consulting calls, one-on-one, and other programs to assist you. It will be the best thing you do for yourself to see how sustainable success is possible for you in your life and business. Join us at the next level. Visit ChristopherSalem.com.
When it comes to business, you'll find the experts here. Voice America Business Network.
You are listening to Sustainable Success with Chris Salem. Send an email to Chris at ChristopherSalem.com. Now, back to Sustainable Success.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are talking about holding the frame, secrets of power, status, and influence for client acquisition. Again, it does not matter if you are a solopreneur or a corporate leader or anywhere in between. This is an episode for you. Again, we highly encourage you to check out this show in its entirety here at the Lisbon platform at Sustainable Success, or also you can access it on Apple, Spotify, and also the audio version also available on YouTube. We also provide access to this show each and every week by our Facebook platform called Sustainable Success 2017. That's where you can find it. And again, we encourage you to engage the show in any of those particular areas that best serve you. So, Justin, just some great information. Again, congratulations on the new book coming out. You already provided kind of an overview a little bit in the first segment about the backstory and some of the macro look at what the frame concept is. Can you discuss some of the highlights of some of the things on how the frame can really help either a high performer, someone aspiring to be a high performer, or even an organization overall, with what you share with some of the key highlights in the book?
Yeah, so I wanted to go into some of the chapter headings because I think that's really interesting. We introduced by talking about how the frame is broken. So people are walking around leaking frame and not confident and trying too hard and signaling need. Then we talk about how you kind of radiate a signal before you even speak, the first impression. We talk about how to be strategic in a transactional world. So as you're talking about putting big deals together or becoming a great closer or a rainmaker, you have to think strategically. How do you do that? A lot of life is really cold approaches. And there's this Scottish guy, Dan Pena. You can go to this castle in Scotland and he'll yell at you for $25,000. I always offer that option to my clients. I'm like, we can go to a castle in Scotland. I can yell at you, but he just gets people a cold call and gets them out of the fear. Right. Your status and how you signal that is a weapon. Silence is a weapon. It's powerful. What is your frame in the first 5 seconds? How do you qualify people? How about this thing, the 51-49 rule of energy debt, right? Knowing how far to reach and how far to withdraw, how to go and pull back. What are the commonalities between flirting and frame? What if the frame breaks and you're in the middle of high stakes? How do you interact with whales, who you would consider a dream client or prospect, or just a person that overwhelms or intimidates you? Why are you even intimidated? And then really just kind of owning the frame for life. And we break it down to 10 laws of the frame, which is really interesting. I could read through those. And then the closing chapter is the room's already yours. And that's a bit of like an alchemist thing, is like all the power you seek as a human being to be a millionaire, a billionaire, to be high frame is within you now. So just read the book and keep looking within, because it'll come to you. But yeah, I don't know if it's worth hitting some of the chapter 13 stuff.
Yeah, please feel free to share what you feel would be most insightful to this audience that's all about sustainability and getting to that next level wherever they are.
So yeah, I'll give you the 10 laws of the frame that live in the book. So the first law is the law of non-neediness, right? I call it principled disinterest or non-hunger, right? It's calmness and tone, calm, cool, collective. Maybe it's a doctor, the therapist, right? These archetypes. The detective is a good one, right? So those are all the law of non-neediness. Then there's the law of signal, and signal is what you transmit before your words, how you walk, the stillness of your breath, your gaze. Then there's the law, number 3 is the law of cold command. The first 5 seconds set the frame. So are you warm? Are you apologetic? Are you using a predictable opener? Do you command presence from the front? Number 4, the law of subtext, right? Words are camouflaged. So people listen beneath the words to the tone. Tonality is everything, right? That was the big thing Jordan Belfort became famous for, is, right? And also Chase Hughes, elicitation, right? You can make a statement versus a question and maybe get even farther, but there's a ton to do with tonality, mirroring, NLP. Then we go into number 5, the law of frame collision. Every meeting is a battle of realities. So there, 2 alpha frames will collide and you need Aikido, but usually there's a weaker or stronger frame in these verbal jousts that we go through. Number 6 is the law of qualification, right? Most people compete to be chosen, but if you're holding the frame, you're the one qualifying them. Let's see if you qualify. And Oren Klaff called that a prize frame, right? You're the prize. But a lot of the tactics in his stuff are very dominant, very aggressive, very masculine. We really made this book, gender balanced and something that there's stories of people from all walks of life. And I love Warren's work for that, but we're kind of doing something that's, I don't know, universally you can hold your frame no matter what kind of person you are, introvert, extrovert, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be done through strength and aggression or boldness or loudness, right? Silence can be a frame. Number 7, the law of scarcity, right? Abundance dilutes value. And I always say that exclusivity creates a premium and scarcity creates value, right? So are you sending too many messages? Are you being too available, either emotionally or literally just available? And that's what created things like the 3-day rule and some of these tactical things. They're an attempt at that. But the reality of doing that for real is that you might only have to communicate one time powerfully or send something that looks like a text message because it's not necessary to include the rest. 8, the law of psychological sequence, right? So there's a rhythm. I write here, curiosity precedes craving, tension precedes reveal, frame is built by incompletion, drop hints, leave loops open, make them ache for the missing piece. In the Sandler canon, this was don't spill your candy in the lobby. You've got 4 slides, 4 ideas that blow them away, don't give the 4th. Netflix, 9 parts of the series, leave something behind, leave them wanting more. There's a sequence of how you create suspense, like the hero's journey. There's a way that, like a musical score that builds. There's a reach and withdraw and ebb and flow of emotion. So most people don't even think about that. 9, the law of frame recovery, right? This is like being unshakable when you lose the frame. I write, power is not the absence of error, it is a refusal to be defined by it, right? So a lot of people drop the frame. They get around a person and they get rattled. They get scared, nervous, worried, upset. But I've never seen a book ever, and I've read too many, where it teaches you, okay, recompose yourself in real time. That this meeting is going wrong. Let's catch the frame. Number 10, the law of embodied frame, which is frame just becomes cellular, right? It's just your presence. People just align to you before you speak because now it's in you. It's your DNA. Yeah, so those are the 10 laws, and I just thought it'd be fun to kind of go through some chapters and give some of the actual precepts. So you can see it's very philosophical. You could take one of those and probably write a book on each.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's no book. I mean, there's so many things you can expand on that. But yeah, feel free to share, like, again, some things like what could be from the book, like what would be the first thing that you would recommend somebody that when they're reading it, where they should focus first, and then as they do that can help them go to that next step or whatever that might be.
Yeah. So I think like one of the first things that I did to increase frame is make a distinction. So are you your thoughts? Are you your mind? Are you your body? Now, I respect all the people listening, and you might have different visions of this, but there's a theory, whether it's an energy field or a life force or God, there's something behind all of that that's very powerful that you can tune into, right? So the first thing that starts happening is you're having like 70,000 thoughts a day. I think they debunked that in 7,000. Are those thoughts negative primarily? Right. So a big way is to use things like affirmations, to focus on where you won in the past, right? To make a timeline of your life. And instead of looking at it by the trials and tribulations and the victimizations, being grateful and looking at where you won. And that helps ground you. So like when I moved to Silicon Valley, I didn't have a traditional college degree. I didn't have like a SaaS resume. But I remembered things I had done, like in the music business or even in grade school, where I'd done something excellent, where I'd been good in my life. And I just kind of tuned into that. And that started to kind of push my identity further. Now it's kind of crazy because I coach CEOs, I work with CROs, I work with, companies of all sizes. I've trained like 65 reps at HubSpot. I've worked in, 5 different continents. So a lot of people are oriented around loss and victimhood and bad things in the past. But a lot of people, if they wrote down on a piece of paper every time that they won, immediately they would kind of see the flip side of that. The other big exercise you can do, sort of like a 50 Cent thing, he got shot in the mouth, like took 6 shots, is take every limitation that you have, write that down, and then write down why it's a strength, which is really interesting. And there's all
Almost
sorts of
like
limitations.
seeing these things happening for you, not to you. Like you have a
Yeah.
choice. Yeah.
But like the way I see the world is this word of pronoia, which is the reverse of paranoia. And it's really good to be paranoid in deals because then you like pressure test them and you figure out what could go wrong. But pronoia is the idea of reverse paranoia. The universe is plotting to do me good, which is pretty crazy. So you could write down a limitation like, I'm not good at math. And I'm like, well, I'm a great communicator and great with people. So I over indexed on that and became great at sales. So like everything negative has a positive echo or mirror of that. But just the kind of mind that sees the advantage and sees the glass as half full and sees points of leverage across what is weak, but that inherently containing a strength, that already, then you see that in others. And then you kind of send that impression of increase to others and they want to be around that. That becomes magnetic because then you're a force for like seeing the gold in people and seeing the opportunity in every situation. Comes down to the Adam Grant thing of like givers, takers, and matchers. And if you're a giver, you often get taken advantage of, like the whole go giver. The risk of that is you get exploited. So a powerful frame will be patient, persistent. My dad used to say this, perspicacious, which just means keenness and discernment, like watching your six. But to me, the most powerful virtue is patience. And I know Winston Churchill called it courage, but you have to have courage to be patient and non-reactive. Something bad happens, instead of flying off the handle, you're calm and you think about it and you calm yourself down. You take a deep breath, which is counterintuitive. I think a lot of what I teach people is counterintuitive techniques for life and business, things that are maybe unnatural, but then become habituated. So in these high stakes situations, you'll calm yourself down. You'll naturally instinctively react, but you'll proactively be ready and react differently. Like Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. But if you're ready to get punched in the mouth, it's going to be a much different experience for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I love that in that shift. And now, if somebody's making these shifts, I mean, this is something what I had picked up, and correct me if I'm wrong. Because this is how sometimes if this is not something that is foreign to me, you have to become disciplined. It's not something like you have to become disciplined to do it, even if you don't feel like doing it, but do it anyway. And that through that consistency is where that shift, I guess, takes place from there.
Yeah, and I really like that book. Like The Power of Habits is good, where you kind of retrain the triggers. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a neuroplasticity element to the brain where it can take 21 days to form a new habit, and that's something to take into effect. So anything you're trying to change within yourself, you can't do it overnight. You kind of have to chip away, and that's why repetition is powerful. So reading something that inspires you and reading it frequently. Like I once read this book 1,000 times, which was really interesting. So yeah, my advice to people is try to groove in a new pathway and a new mindset.
Wow. Great stuff. I hope everybody is taking notes. This is just great insight. As we round out this segment, and I know we're going to go into some other things you're going to discuss in the last segment. What would you like to conclude from what you shared here, Justin, that can really just be able to connect the dots with everything that's shared to get, really people excited, first get their hands on the book that just came out, but, start taking an initiative to really start creating and embracing that frame concept to take their business or their sales, whatever they're doing to that next level for themselves.
It's just sort of a Socratic questioning. Am I owning my frame? Right? Am I raising my frame? How could I look at the situation and say, how could I raise the frame? Meaning, how could I come from a position of strength or an advantage? Am I signaling weakness? Am I being petty? Am I being materialistic, narcissistic? Am I signaling an emotion that takes me away from my power and my true strength, tonally, emotionally. So you can take anything, right? You can look at a script and you can go, let's raise the frame. What would make this more powerful? You can look at an interpersonal situation, and it could have been more powerful listening or more clarity in communicating, more decisiveness, being concise. And so it's like, how can I raise the frame? How can I own the frame? How can I hold the frame? And then how can I regain the frame? And I know these are funny questions and obvious, but everyone who learns the concept just kind of suddenly falls into that. So we actually have a site, owntheframe.com, which is kind of about the book. And we have another one, theframebook.com. You can go to those to learn more, and just go to Amazon and type in Justin Michael, The Frame, or Jonny Staker, The Frame. But yeah, I think just asking yourself the questions. I mean, I don't think people walk through their lives and think, how can I raise my frame right now talking to Chris Salem? Right? What is that? And I still think that there's power in humility, right? Like, I think people like Nelson Mandela or the Dalai Lama or even like Bono from U2, I think some people that are very like, emotional or intense or spiritually grounded have very powerful frames, presence. But it's because it's what is authentic and true for them. You don't need a Lamborghini and a gold watch to feel powerful, because again, it's within you. Like a 5-year-old kid can be so brave. Like they just no fear in public. Like, get up on a stage. You learn to be fearful as you get older.
Something it's that we're conditioned to. You're right, because we're not born. It's just something that we pick up on. So true. So no, this is so great. I know we got another segment. That we got a last segment. You're going to come back and kind of bring everything full circle. Again, we want to make sure everybody, make sure to stick around. We have such more information that Justin is going to share here. What he is, talked about throughout the show here, holding the frame, secrets of power, status, and influence for client acquisition. And this is a great concept that can really help you take you to where you are and where you desire to be. We'll be right back after the break.
What is balance? It's being true to your purpose and not being distracted by shiny objects, surrounding yourself with family and loved ones, nurturing your spirituality, maintaining healthy balance of emotional and physical wellness, and being present in the moment. Chris Salem creates awareness about unblocking mindset barriers for sales professionals, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and all types of people to have sustainable success at the next level. The solution evolves out of the problem or challenge. The issue is that many people and businesses manage the effect but do not address the root cause. You now have an opportunity to live your life and operate your business in the solution rather than the effect of your challenges. Schedule a time to chat about your goals and the person you desire to be by going to ChristopherSalem.com. We have group consulting calls, one-on-one, and other programs to assist you. It will be the best thing you do for yourself to see how sustainable success is possible for you in your life and business. Join us at the next level. Visit ChristopherSalem.com. Voice America is on LinkedIn. Connect with us today. You are listening to Sustainable Success with Chris Salem. Send an email to Chris at ChristopherSalem.com. Now, back to Sustainable Success.
Welcome back to Sustainable Success. We're talking about holding the frame, secrets of power, status, and influence for client acquisition. We're here with our subject matter expert, Justin Michael. Jonny Staker, who was also originally supposed to be on the show, had a last-minute emergency that had to be taken care of, but Justin has really provided so much great value here on the show. And again, if you're just joining us, we encourage you to listen to this show in its entirety here later today at the Lisbon platform for Sustainable Success, also on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and our Facebook page at Sustainable Success 2017. Again, the show would not be possible without our sponsors. Feel free to check out Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a new social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types and an opportunity to meet new people for the first time. Now, it also offers a new section to their platform for those professional athletes that are retiring and transferring into new careers. So if you are a professional athlete and not sure how to go about doing that, well, you don't have to do it alone. You could do it now with others that are doing it at the same time. And there's a special place that you can do this here at Alumni Direct, where you can form groups to help each other transition into whatever that is, a new career, a new job, a new business, buying a franchise, whatever that may be. Check out From Athlete to Entrepreneur portion of the Alumni Direct website. And they also have a podcast dedicated to the area, From Athlete to Entrepreneur, headed up by the founder and CEO and podcast host, Rob Finkelstein. So feel free to let them know that Sustainable Success sent you over to them at alumnidirect.com. So, Justin, just, again, just valuable insights that you've shared here in the first two segments of the show. Just really, really enlightening. And we want to make sure people get their hands on the book. Share with us again, the people, because there's so many people now, they get gripped in this fear, the uncertainty, whether if it's something personal, something could be on a business level. And a lot of times they're just not sure how to get out of their own way. Like, what would be some things you could share with us to make those shifts?
Yeah, so it's really interesting raising your frame and raising your income. And I work with a lot of people on that identity. And so a lot of this comes down to affirmations like I am unstoppable, I am wealthy, I am successful, I am the top rep on the team, and reprogramming your mind to believe that. But there's also something like a decision that you can make internally about your identity. And what will happen is this will open the door to more skill building and more mastery and taking more positive risks and getting around higher level people. In essence, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room, which is fine because I take an egalitarian perspective. I'm as happy to meet the janitor as the CEO. It's not, what I mean by that is in business and in your career, you're trying to get your dream clients, getting your dream company, and it feels so far away. You feel stuck. You feel on a plateau, right? So holding your vision and knowing that it's for you and knowing that there's either a higher force or a quantum field that you can shift into is really powerful. Understanding that there have been billions of people on this planet where the future of that person had nothing to do with the limitations of their past. They overcame incredible challenges. If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. So like the strongest characters are seared with scars, which was, it wasn't Rumi who said that, it was Khalil Gibran. That's a great quote, right? So, I realized that, like, I came to Silicon Valley without a degree, hadn't made much money, and was able to climb really fast because of the way that my mindset was tuned to this. I saw something greater for myself. I was patient about it. That's another big thing, right? There's takes 9 months to create a baby. So like, you have a dream, a vision, and you're like giving up after 3 months, trying it for 2 weeks. I see people lack focus. It's like, set the goal, visualize yourself. This guy, Jim Mangello, one of my mentors, used to say, visualize the goal, germinate the seed, and plan for success. And I love that. And always say also, the swagger breeds. But what he meant by these things is if you can hold to the vision, chip away, and you just go look at ancient Eastern philosophy, like a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Life is a marathon and not a sprint. I know I'm giving you like a lot of fortune cookie answers here, but the biggest thing, we're in this push button AI society of self-gratification, right? I read one book for 5 years, 1,000 times. Then I spent 10 years on the road. I started my journey at 21, and I didn't really start making incredible money until I was 41, 20 full years. First 10, I kind of floundered around. The next 10, I just kind of gained skill. And then I went out on my own 5-6 years ago, and that's where a lot of the magic started to happen, because I had a lot of experience and I had a lot of courage. But I find that I have a lot more patience and grit and stick-to-itiveness than a lot of people that I meet, because that's the missing component. So be patient and gentle with yourself. Love yourself. Love is the most powerful frame, which is really interesting. You want to be around somebody that is secure in their own skin and genuinely he cares about you. Also, the frame of service, being in service of other people, selflessness, enjoying when other people shine. We live in a world of greed and envy. That's what Charlie Munger said before he died. He's like, the world is eroding off of envy, not greed. Right? So the go-giver is a good concept. There's a concept.
Bob Berg. Bob Berg's been on our show, so we know
Love
Bob
Bob.
well.
Yeah, he's really supportive. Talked to him today. So there's two ways to look at manifestation. There's the manufactured Western way of I'm going to get this exact car and relationship and house and company and writing down those goals. And that's kind of the John Assaraf way. And that's sort of manufactured, and that's good. It's precise, and you kind of beam yourself in the universe in the future. And then there's really something of almost a surrendering or a faith. And that gets back into the pronoia concept. So know that something great is coming for you. Be grateful for what you're doing. Be patient in developing your craft. And then, get up every day, get up the mat and chip away. And in time, right, we underestimate what we'll do in 10 years, but overestimate what we'll do in 1 year. So yeah, it's a wide variety of advice. Be patient, love yourself, dedicate yourself to helping other people, which I think is the meaning of life. Read this book a few times, and I think you'll find the answer within it. Maybe not even what's written in the book, but what appears in yourself while you're reading it. As cryptic as that sounds. Yeah.
Well, what I loved what you talked about is trusting the process. Like, this didn't happen overnight. And so many people, like, they want this change and, and this, all these things they aspire to become, but they're not willing to trust the process. They're not willing to do their part. It's like they think there's some kind of, magic silver bullet that's going to like come in and, and make everything right again. And you go through some trials and tribulations. You go through a process. You go through setbacks, but nonetheless, all these things are happening for you, not to you. I loved what you shared. Anything else you can really share that can illustrate how important that is, that all these things that maybe people are doing are not a waste of time unless, they are doing things that are, not inhibiting their growth. Of course, that's not worth their time, but know that if they have the tensions to keep improving, that if they trust the process and keep showing up, things, are just a matter of time to shift what you had described earlier.
It's like what Bruce Lee said about water carving rock, and there's a relentlessness over time that you start to develop. And you have this confidence not just in yourself and this enduring belief in yourself, but good things will come. And then something bad happens, but there's a zen to it because that's a lesson and you're wise. And then something good happens, and then that's a lesson. And you start to become really still and serene in your mind, in your soul, and you're just navigating life. And you're in control of how you're reacting to life, right? And whether you look at it on a quantum physics basis, that becomes magnetic to people because, right, that stillness or economy of movement, that's leadership. And that's helping calm and stabilize other people and lead people with your energy alone, which is really interesting. So I think we should all be on a mission to raise our frame and to kind of step into our power and own what I would call God-given gifts, things that just are innate within us. If you've had a child, right, they come into the world with their own set of genius skills and personalities. Everybody's got some innate ability, and most people, they're off there focusing on something they're not very good at.
Yeah.
So finding your unique zone of genius and then pushing that really hard, you might get to a level of mastery with 10,000 hours, and then enjoying the process and the journey and being grateful for the friction and the grit and the hard parts and even the pain and the suffering that you go through, right? Because it takes that pressure to create the diamond. And I think as I've gotten older, I'm enjoying day to day, the now, the presence of actually living through my life versus someday I'm going to get to the place where then I can be happy. Because, facing the challenges is part of happiness. It's an adventure. Right? That quote, like a ship in a safe harbor is not the point of a ship. Right? It's like those lobster fishermen who go out there, the deadliest catch is crazy what they do, but they love it. And it's exciting. So you should really chase your passions and look for things that thrill you and make you come alive. And when you love what you're doing, it's very powerful. Like, I'd pay to do what I do. I love coaching people. I love writing these books. I love helping other people. My favorite part of my life is when my client like hits 100,000 in a month or something and, makes a ton of money, because that's going to help them and their family. And it's this continuum that pays it forward. So I know we've touched on a lot today, but gave you some of the sense of the chapters in the book. There's a lot to be said of almost thinking of this as a pre-frame. Who are you being in any situation? Think in terms of ontology, the science of being, the deepest portion of your identity. And then from who you're being, what are you thinking about? And then based on what you're thinking, what are you doing? And unraveling those steps backward. Who are you really? Who would you have to be to reach the dream or goal? And even if you don't, do you have faith that you're in the right place and that it's just a lesson and everything happens for a reason? Maybe you have a different worldview. I still think it'll help you to raise the frame.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. This is great stuff. And we have about 3.5 minutes left in the show. And I want to leave some of this time, Justin, before we close out, how can people get to know you better? How can they reach you? How can they get in contact with you? What are you up to now that this new book is out on the frame? And, anything that you'd like to give or provide the audience?
Yeah, so say like we're gonna have paperback and hardbacks by the time you probably hear this next Friday. If you buy 5 copies of the paperback or hardback and you do a post, and if you do a review's optional. I'll give you like $1,000 coaching session on the frame, like an intensive. I'll sit with you and help you evaluate some of these factors. I do a lot of one-to-one coaching of executives and workshops of teams, but to find the book, just go to Amazon, put in the frame. It should come up, and put in the frame, Justin or Jonny, it'll come up. And we have the website, theframebook.com or owntheframe.com. You can go there. We're going to be doing some intensives and leading people in this work to help them find within themselves this higher level, this next gear. And that's obviously going to open up a lot of great things: abundance, health, wealth, income. I mean, there's a lot that goes into a life that's transformed in this process.
Right. Fabulous. And is there anything like, can they reach out to you on LinkedIn, that type of thing?
Yep. Yeah. Hit me on LinkedIn. It's the fastest way to get me.
Yeah. So we highly encourage everybody to do that. We'll make sure that all that information is also in the show notes. So again, feel free to check that out at the Lisbon platform, LISBYN, for sustainable success. You'll be able to find all that information there. And again, we encourage you to reach out, find the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, as Justin had claimed. And, make sure, take the time, read it, let it absorb in, and provide a genuine review for Justin and Jonny for this great book that they have. We're in the less than a minute here. Next 20 seconds, just give us something high level you'd like to, leave the audience with at the takeaway.
Well, we have this tagline: the weak beg to be chosen and the powerful choose. So keep that in mind. See if you can hold your frame today. What would it take to be the most powerful version of yourself? And if you want to be able to command a room, up level to a new level of status, be able to persuade situations, be 50 moves ahead in the chess game, the 3D chess game of life. This is culled from a lot of sources and is very powerful stuff. I've never seen this content anywhere. So yeah, get a hold of it, put it to use in your life. I've had parents teaching their kids this stuff. Like, it's really interesting how far it goes. Like, they're holding their frame with their dog, like stuff like this.
Absolutely.
Like, okay,
Yeah. Well,
it's been cool.
Justin, we want to thank you so much for taking the time. And we know it's late where you are over in Switzerland. We want to thank you, everybody here at the Sustainable Success team, for taking the time to share this great insight. And congratulations again on the new book.
Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate you and your show, and we'll be in touch. Good to see you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And we want to thank you. We encourage everybody to reach out to Justin. Also, his partner, Jonny Staker, who could not be on the show as planned today as well. His information will be there as well. And we want to thank you, listeners, for joining us each and every week here at Sustainable Success. We are committed to your excellence and professional growth. And again, we will make sure each and every week we bring in subject matter experts like Justin in to help elevate you and your business to the next level. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you then. Take care.
Thank you for tuning into Sustainable Success. Be sure to join Chris Salem and his guests every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Business Channel. Have an incredible week.